ready? Got a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of Bogota Board of Education for May 17th, 2022 to order. Everybody please stand for the flag salute. Good afternoon, everyone. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. Mr. Irfan, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez, absent. Mr. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Chavez,
Present.
Mrs. Cruz,
Present.
Mrs. Coles, absent. Mrs. Oliva,
Present.
Mr. Ortega,
Present.
Ms. Ruckett, absent. Mr. Miranda.
Present.
We have the quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Irfan. Mrs. Idalia Alvarez reached out. One of her classes were canceled, so due to work conflict. And Mrs. Ruckett is on family away, so she has some personal stuff. Also present are the Superintendent Damian Kennedy, Board Attorney William Sukis, School Business Administrator, Board Secretary Irfan Efsil, and Assistant Board Secretary Elizabeth Ruiz. I'd like to open the floor to hearing of citizens on agenda items only. May I have a motion?
Motion Chavez.
Chavez, may I have a second? Alvarez. Is there any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I would like to open the public, citizens' remarks, public hearing on agenda items only. Please state your name and address. You have 5 minutes on agenda items only. Is there anyone, Mr. Kennedy?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, no one in the public. I'd like to close citizen remarks on agenda items only. Do I have a motion?
Motion,
Chuck.
John.
John Ortega, may I have a second?
Chavez.
Chavez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Aye.
Thank you, Trina. Caught me off guard there. Moving on to section 3.1 of our agenda, superintendent's report. Mr. Kennedy, the floor is yours.
Okay, so obviously there's been a little bit of spike in the COVID numbers. We're monitoring the numbers. At this point in time, I've been in contact with surrounding districts. Along with the health department, we're gonna maintain the direction we're heading in right now. We're looking at maybe suggesting or recommending that students and parents attending events wear masks. My goal is to make sure that we continue to have our normal end of the year ceremonies moving forward. So we will continue to keep in contact with all the major players to make sure we are doing that. But what I've been told, and all districts in the surrounding area have not put on a mask mandate, and they are going to continue with their normally scheduled ceremonies and programs at the end of the year. June 14th meeting will be in the gym. Downstairs, we will honor our retirees, our Teachers of the Year, and all team championships. Also at that June 14th meeting, we will be discussing and presenting our future goals as a district and what we need to do to get there as a district, the board, and a community. And then also tonight, they are actually just finishing up their class right now. We're going to recognize 15 students who have been working since October. And through Title III money and our community outreach goals, we have been able to run an adult ESL class that's been running since October, meeting once a week. And they are meeting for about 60 minutes. once a week, and they will continue doing so through June. So tonight, we want to recognize them, and they will be filtering into the cafeteria, and we'd like to present them a certificate of academic achievement. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have our board president, Mr. Frank Miranda, hand out certificates. And what we'd like to do is ask that when we call your name, that you come forward and you come and pick up your certificate.
I got it here. I got it right here. Yeah. Yeah, the vice
So we're gonna call your name up, and we'd like to for your hard work as being our first group of adult ESL students, and then we'd like to take a group picture with you, so don't run away. So when you come up here, all right?
I'm gonna take some pictures.
Yeah, so, well, we're just gonna ask that after you come up and get your certificate, that you just slide up this way, and then we're gonna take a nice group picture.
Marlene Abreu de Zapata.
You'll have to clap.
Mónica Arango. Jimmy Kaisa. Elvis Chele. Marisol Chele. Mauro Cotto. Excellent Diaz. Heidi González Rojas, Reyes, perdón. Verónica Morales Quiros. Edgar Pérez. Mayra Quevedo. Edgar Quevedo. Nuri Rodríguez. Zoila Torres Pérez. Anabel Urdanate.
I want this card, well, to take a picture. And we gotta try to squeeze in like 200 people. We'll come around like.
Estás al frente.
Are you good, Mr. Kennedy?
We're good.
We're good. Congratulations to all. Moving on to resolution 4.4, approval of consent agenda items 4.1 through 4.7 regarding approval of minutes. Do I have? I'm sorry, 4.3. 4.1 through 4.3. Is there a motion to approve 4.4?
Motion, John.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, John.
John, do I have a second?
Chavez.
Chavez, any board discussion? Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Moving on to policy portion of the agenda. Resolutions 5.1, second reading and adoption of policies. Is there a motion to approve resolution 5.1?
Motion Chavez.
Chavez, do I have a second?
Olivo.
I'll take Alvarez, sorry, Olivo. Any board discussion? Do I have, I'm sorry, roll call, Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to the education portion of the agenda, resolution 6.18, approval of consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.17. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 6.18?
Motion Chavez.
Chavez, do I have a second?
Second, John.
Ortega, any board discussion? Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution 6.19, approval of physical therapy services. Is there a motion to approve 6.19?
Motion, John.
Mr. Ortega, do I have a second?
Alvarez.
Alvarez, is there any board discussion? Roll call, Mr. Irfan.
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now going on to resolution 7.8, approval of resolution 7.6. I'm sorry. We will be going on to personnel portion of agenda, resolution 7.5, approval of agenda items 7.1 through 7.4. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 7.5?
Motion Chavez.
Chavez, do I have a second?
Cruz.
Cruz, any discussion? Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez. Yes. Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now going on to resolution 7.8, approval of resolution 7.6, extension of medical leave, and 7.7, approval of school business administrator contract. Do I have a motion to approve 7.8?
Motion, John.
Chavez, was
Second,
that
John.
Ortega?
Yep.
Second Ortega, any discussion? Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez. Yes. Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Irfan, well deserved. I want to make a point that you've been diligent in showing us, at least those on the financial side of it, how it works. God bless you.
Thanks for the board's
and
trust.
Thank you. And you definitely helped us work through some of the minor details and understanding budget. I know Alvarez was there. Robert, Jose, myself, Mrs. Ruckett, in trying to save the taxpayers' money. So kudos to you and thank you for your professionalism.
Thank you.
Moving on to resolution 810, approval of agenda items, resolution 8.1 through 8.9. Is there a motion to approve resolution 8.10?
Alvarez.
Alvarez, let me make sure, Robert.
Robert.
Do I have a second?
Chavez.
Chavez. Is there any discussion? Mr. Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez. Yes. Mr. Chavez.
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo.
yes,
Mr. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion
There are
carried.
no matters on buildings and grounds, section 7.9.1, so we'll move on. Next on the agenda is item 10.1, committee reports. Are there any committee reports this evening? I'm sure of that. Next on the agenda is old business in item 11.1. Is there any old business that the board would like to discuss? Moving on, next on the agenda is new business items 12.1 and any new business the board would like to discuss? Section 13.1, I'd like to open the floor to hearing of citizen remarks. Is there a motion to open the floor to hearing of citizens?
Motion, John.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Alvarez.
Alvarez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
aye,
Is there any, thank you, Mrs. Olivo. Is there any member of the public who would like to discuss, to address the board? Speakers, please state your name and street address. You have 5 minutes. Ms. Kennedy, do we have anyone? No? I'd like to move to close hearing of citizen remarks. Do I have a motion?
Alvarez.
Alvarez, do I have a second?
Chavez.
All in, any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Thank you. I believe we have no executive discussions today, correct? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Alvarez.
Chavez, Alvarez, second.
Alvarez.
Alvarez, all in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Aye.
Night. Thank you.